Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of High Energy Girl. And today's awesome guest is Dr. Monisha Bhanote, who is an MD, and she is quintuple board certified. She combines ancient wisdom with mind-body science to naturally biohack the human body through her expertise as a cytopathologist, functional culinary medicine specialist, and integrative medicine doctor. Wow, that's a mouthful. And we have an awesome conversation and tips of what you can start right now to age healthier and stronger. So let's go and say hello to Dr. Monisha. Hey everyone, welcome to High Energy Girl, a podcast helping women to age stronger because it is never too late to get fit, be strong, and feel sexy. I'm your host, Tracy Gluhige, health coach and personal trainer and founder of highenergygirl.com. Each week, we will either have a guest interview, which will provide you encouragement or an actionable tip to help you age stronger, or I will do a solo episode. Please also join our awesome Facebook group called High Energy Girls, and I'm looking forward to see you on the inside of that group and hope you enjoy today's show. Create Whole Body Wellness, a powerful new advancement in energy medicine. Increase your energy, empower your life. I am super excited to announce that I am now a bioenergetics practitioner. And many people are like, well, what is bioenergetics? So imagine that our body is controlled by our energy field, and these fields get distortions and blockages, which create physical and emotional symptoms. So how do we get energy blockages? From stress, toxins, EMFs, emotional traumas, physical scars, and physical traumas. All you need to do is decode the human body field to get to the root cause and restore your energy for life. For more information, head on over to the blog at highenergygirl.com/bioenergetics with an X. That's BIOENERGETIX, and heal your energy for life. Hi, Dr. Monisha. Thanks so much for coming to spend some time with me today.
Thank you so much, Tracy, for having me on your podcast. Looking forward to our conversation.
Me too. So for the listeners that don't know about you yet, can you tell them a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Dr. Monisha Bhanote. I am a quintuple board certified physician. So I have training in everything from anatomic, clinical, cytopathology, all the way to integrative, functional, and culinary medicine. And I basically help people create better cellular health.
Awesome. And you're an overachiever at that. That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit deeper and unpack what you just said. So which topic would you like to begin with? I love the whole culinary thing myself.
Absolutely. I mean, when they say food is medicine, you can definitely say good food, real food is medicine, whereas a lot of the stuff that we are eating is poison to our body and to our cells. So we can definitely dive in deep there for sure.
Okay. So what brought you to that point? Like, what was your realization with this topic?
So with this topic, here's the thing. We eat every day. It's one of those main things that we have to do, right? So when we're thinking about all the different things we do between waking up, sleeping, moving our body, eating, I think food brings great pleasure, right? So, but when we look at food from how it's affecting the human body and what can we actually do to make the human body optimized, as opposed to creating disease after dysfunction. I think there's a big disconnect between what food can actually do for your body. And there's a lot of confusion around it, a lot of misinformation around it. But if you look at it just from the basics and you start building from there and what your body needs, you're going to start heading in the right direction. A lot of people are missing those basics.
And what are those basics?
Eating real food. I mean, when I have people who are living off of diet sodas and processed packaged food, Uber Eats delivery, eating out every day, not realizing the different oils that are going into their foods, not realizing that, the amount of sugar and salt that they're consuming, that their body gets overwhelmed, their cells get overwhelmed. And not only do they get overwhelmed, they also get depleted as we age of the nutrients we need to function.
So what does a day in your diet look like?
So a day in my diet, I have a concoction of wellness drinks that I might drink throughout the day. I eat a heavily plant-based whole foods diet. So lots of plants, trying to get the different rainbow of the plants, different colors, different ingredients, trying to always maximize what's on my plate. So I'm getting all the different nutrients between, whole grains, plants, protein, nuts and seeds, omega. So trying to get that whole balance in there.
So what are some of your favorite go-tos when it comes to food?
Some of my favorite go-tos, if I'm making it or if I'm getting it from outside.
Well, I prefer making my own food. Even a nice restaurant, I feel inflamed sometimes when I come home.
100%.
So,
So my go-tos is, I come from an Indian background, so making any Indian dish is super quick and easy for me. And it's also a way for me to incorporate more veggies and also more different spices that we know have great benefits in them. I'm a big fan of making lettuce wraps or the like Asian types of wraps, like rice paper wraps. So those are quick and easy to make. A good curry. My latest, greatest recipe is having an ashwagandha curry, which we could all use a little ashwagandha in our life. So really taking these meals that we have on an everyday basis and seeing how can we make them next level. What are some things that we can apply to them that are maybe unconventional, but at the end of the day can help us?
So I love Indian food. What is your favorite Indian recipe that you like to cook?
I do a really good chana masala, which is a chickpea curry. I do a good sweet potato curry. Pretty much anything Indian can come out really good.
I love tikka masala and butter chicken. Those are my two favorites.
Okay. Well, butter chicken has a lot of cream and butter in it, so probably not the healthiest of the Indian versions of food.
Oh, well, I make it. I have my own version that I make from it, but it tastes amazing because the flavors come from the spices, in my opinion. And I just love all of those beautiful spices.
Yes, absolutely. So
is that your puppy? Let's see.
The puppy has made an appearance because she will start barking because there's somebody outside. But yeah, so definitely between, I've pretty much been spoon-fed turmeric since I was a child, right? So incorporating, cumin, coriander, turmeric, all these different spices on a regular basis creates a lot of anti-inflammatory ingredients in your body. Very different than if you're trying to incorporate these ingredients therapeutically and you're trying to do it for a disease ailment, say arthritis or something like that. The amounts of turmeric you would need is not something that you're going to get from just having it into your dishes. So keep that in mind, that the ingredients are beneficial. Like if we're using them throughout our lifetime, you can start using them any time and start getting the benefit. But when you're working on a therapeutic aspect, then you might need more.
Okay. And how do you recommend getting more if you need it for say joint pain?
Supplementation. Supplementation is the best way to get high doses then.
Okay. Awesome. Now, are you currently seeing patients or?
I do see patients currently, and I really work with them to look at what is not working right in their body, because at the end of the day, we have a lot more vitamin and mineral deficiencies than we realize, and everyone is very individual and personalized depending on, what their genetics are, what their lifestyle is, what they need more of. So really dialing in deep there and rebuilding the body in that aspect. Maybe somebody's been exposed to more toxins over their lifetime, so they need a greater amount of things like vitamin C, glutathione, alpha lipoic acid. Maybe somebody's lived out in the country their whole life and isn't exposed to toxins, and yet they are, somewhere up in the north where they're not getting that much sunshine. So maybe they need more vitamin D because they're always, indoors. So really looking at it personalized is important. And then the next step is always optimizing gut function. I find that everybody has, if they have any symptom, I should say, there's something that started in their gut. They might not connect it, but when we sit down and kind of go back 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 15 to 50 years, we go back, they're like, you know what? You're right. I did have those problems growing up. I couldn't do that. I did experience that. I was on this roller coaster of, these issues, and they never connected it to their gut.
And so how do you start with the testing to figure it out? I mean, is it a blood test or something else?
I do a combination of multiple in-depth functional laboratory tests, but a combination of blood, plasma, saliva, urine, and stool. So just super personalized, depending on the individual, depending on their personal history, their family history, really looking at everything.
Nice. So it's really comprehensive.
Super comprehensive. You learn more about yourself than you would in my program working with me than you ever would in your entire lifetime, probably.
Wow.
Yeah. Because my goal is really for you to walk away with the tools so you know how to live your best life. Right. So I provide you that interpretation that is specific to your body. It's not a generic, okay, you have high blood pressure and now you fall in. No, I'm sorry, the human body does not work that way.
Right. So are you like a naturopath or functional medicine doctor or something like that?
I'm a medical doctor, so I'm an MD. Yeah.
Okay. Most doctors that I know of don't look at the comprehensive approach.
That's probably because of my background. So I have an extensive background in anatomic, clinical, and cytopathology, which is really the clinical aspect of blood samples, tissue samples, looking at that body on that microscopic cellular level, looking at blood tests, really understanding that process and the evolution of disease. And, there's misinformation that people think, well, my disease is because of my genetics. And we test people's genetics, and, 95% of diseases aren't genetics, they're lifestyle. And so that's where we have so much more control over our health, yet we give it away to just being like, I'm going to get this because my parents had this, or we give it away to the fact that, oh, okay, if I get it, I'll just take a medicine. A medicine at the end of the day it takes care of your symptoms, but your disease continues to progress as long as that lifestyle that you were living continues that way.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I know that because I've lived it, but both of my parents are hot messes, and I decided I wasn't going to go down that path that they did. So totally different lifestyle. No, I'm totally healthy at 57. So
great. That's wonderful. Yeah. I mean, I think, sometimes I spend a lot of time teaching people about how their human cells work down to, what's going on in the cell, because usually when I'm looking at cells under a microscope, I call them angry cells. Anything that's abnormal is literally angry. And angry in my sense is, there'll be like nuclear enlargement or nuclear hyperchromasia, the chromatin changes, all these cellular changes. But guess what? There's something that goes back behind that. And it's part of our lifestyle. It's part of what we're putting in our body, how we're moving our body, how we're taking care of our body. And those are the things we can control.
Right. Right. I totally agree with that. So did you, I have so many questions. What state are you in? Where are you located?
I'm based out of Florida. However, I see patients in California, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Florida. So 5 states. And
because are you certified in those individual states?
Yes, I'm licensed in those states, and I do have patients that fly in to see me. So if you are not in one of those states, you can fly in to see me.
Oh, okay. So do you take online patient, or I guess just remote patients?
Yes, it's a telehealth practice, but if you're not in one of my licensed states, you must come to me first to establish.
Okay, I got it now. That makes sense.
Yes.
And I also heard you wrote a book or two.
I have a couple books out there. So my latest book is called The Anatomy of Wellbeing. And it's about intentional lifestyle practices and how to really optimize different lifestyle practices that's unique to your own body and what you like. So not everybody's going to meditate, but guess what? You can do so many other things that can get you into that parasympathetic state. So really kind of looking at what are you doing in your 24 hours of a day? What are your current habits? What are your routines that you're just bored with, and becoming really intentional with those 24 hours and putting rituals into your life that serve a specific purpose. And so in the book, I dive into, how different parts of the human body work, including how your cells work and how you might want to use different practices to optimize them.
I'm glad you brought that up. So meditation, I have a really hard time sitting still. So what I do personally is what I call walking meditation, where I'll go out. I live in the country, and I'll go out and just like walk and connect with nature.
Perfect.
Like unplugged.
We all need to unplug more often than we think. So yeah, no, that's perfect. So for some people, quieting the mind is very difficult. So doing a walking meditation, doing a guided meditation, doing even some pranayama or breathing techniques. Singing is a great way to activate your vagus nerve and get into the parasympathetic state. Gargling in the morning can start activating that vagus nerve. So there's things that, you're like, oh, I could do that. Like we kind of go for the hardest one and then think we fail, right? So why not start with something we enjoy doing and build it up from there?
I love that. I love that idea of even singing, because how fun is that? Every time you go in the car, you can turn on the radio and sing.
That's much better than all the angry drivers I see on the road, because they're all in sympathetic, stressed mode. Where I live, there is literally a car accident every day that I go past, and everyone's so in this super sympathetic drive. And what if you could just relax your body, relax your mind enough that you can drive, but not that you're getting home and you're full of elevated cortisol levels. So now you can't sleep because your body's so revved up.
Mm-hmm. I think that's great. I love that idea. And I think mostly it's men that get behind the wheel, because I'm just like a mellow driver. I'm never like in a huge hurry, and
You'd be surprised here in Florida. I like, so a few of my, I wouldn't call them hobbies, but a few things I like to observe is people in grocery stores and people driving. And at least here in Florida, the women behind the wheel are super angry, stressed out. Like I feel like I can see fumes coming out of them.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
And, yeah. So I think this is a personal thing, right? How we all manage stress. And there is no doubt that our lives are more stressful than they used to be, even though we have more of the conveniences available to us. So I think really taking a moment to disconnect and prioritize your needs and what's important to you, and what can you do for yourself, for your family, for your loved ones to really optimize your health and their health. I mean, I just came back from teaching a retreat, and the transformation that you can see when you immerse yourself in this pretty much technology-free, nature, eating nutritious food, spending time on yourself, spending time releasing your emotions, spending time breathing and meditating and doing all these basic things. And then going, oh my God, I didn't know my body could feel so good. I didn't know my mind could be so clear. I didn't know I could sleep so well. I didn't know I could have such a good bowel movement.
Wow. Where was your retreat?
So my last retreat was in Mexico.
Fun. Was it just women, or was it men?
No, it was men and women. And we're going back next year. So you can always come join us next year. But yes, it was in Mexico. It was 6 days of really tuning into your body from a gut health perspective, from a mind-body perspective, a little dose of Ayurveda in there, because I do incorporate Ayurveda into my practices. And yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I had a friend who did Ayurveda, and she diet, or what do they call when they identify your type?
Your doshas.
Dosha. So she said I was Pitta Vata.
I could see that.
Really? I don't really know what it means, but I know she said you're hot. You need to cool down a little bit.
Yes. Pittas are very type A personalities. Very hot, can get irritated when they're imbalanced very quickly. So that's probably why you really enjoy the nature, because it brings your pitta back into balance. Because if you were in the city, you might be a little bit more aggravated.
Oh yeah, I love where I live.
Yeah.
But I'm very at peace nowadays. I don't know my lifestyle. My kids are grown. That's a big one, right? I had 3 boys in 3 years. So it was crazy around here for a time being. So, all right. So tell us a little bit about your favorite, not food stuff, but just other lifestyle practices that you enjoy.
Other lifestyle practices that I enjoy. So let's see, besides the actual food, I would say timing of food as well. So I'm a big fan of intermittent fasting. And incorporating that instead of having the food lie on top of the food, on top of the food. So that intermittent fasting is also great for mitochondrial health, which as we age, a lot of people are experiencing mitochondrial dysfunction. I see quite often. So big fan of intermittent fasting. Also a big fan of infrared saunas. Really incorporating some kind of heat therapy for the body on a regular basis. So if you can do, some kind of infrared sauna 2 to 3 times a week, if you have access to it, can be great for the body, for cellular repair, for relaxation. So
let me ask you really quick, what is your favorite eating window? Like, how long is your personal eating window on average?
My personal eating window is usually about, when I'm not on vacation, so in my regular everyday, I would say is about 8 hours, sometimes 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when you go in the infrared sauna, how long do you recommend staying in?
So this is going to depend upon what kind of sauna you have, and where you are in that. Like if this is something you're just starting with, you want to start for 10, 15 minutes. If it's something you've been doing for a while, I now go in from anywhere to 30 to 45 minutes.
Okay.
And really looking at, this is where that greater amount of self-awareness comes in, is paying attention to starting one new ritual and seeing how does your body respond to it? How is your body being affected by it? For example, the infrared sauna. I was like, all right, I'm going to do infrared saunas in the evening, but I realized for my particular body that revved my heart up, because it can be a cardiovascular workout in itself. And it didn't allow me to optimize my sleep. So I was awake at night, and instead of going to sleep at my regular time, I was like, oh, I'm awake. And I was like, what did I do different? What I did different was I did infrared sauna. And so now I had to switch that up to, if that's something that for my particular body gives me energy, I do it in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay,
So
that makes
really picking something and then going, how do I feel? How are the rest of the things that I do in the day being affected by this?
Yeah, that makes sense. And being self-aware, because I love the word bio-individual. We're all different.
Yes.
So, what's going to help you may not help me. And so I do the infrared sauna. So I interrupted you going through your list because I wanted to make sure I asked those two questions. What else would you like to add to that?
So what else? I'm a big fan of supplementation. I have a host of different supplements that I rotate through depending on what's going on in my life. So I always say with supplementations is they consider them the Christmas decorations on your Christmas tree. They are not the thing that is going to be your sole foundation, meaning if you go out shopping for a Christmas tree and you buy a brown kind of old, like fraying kind of fur, and you try and hang decorations on that, guess what? They're not going to hang. All right. So same thing with supplements. If you try and put supplements in a body that doesn't have the basic ingredients to function, supplements are not going to do as effectively what they should be doing. So always work with targeted supplementation, which is looking at what your specific body needs. When I had people coming into my office, I'd have them bring all their supplement bottles. We'd line them up on my desk, and 19 of 20 of them would end up in what I call the supplement graveyard, because they were either poor quality, they weren't doing anything for them, or they were actually harming them because they were in such high doses that it was creating imbalance elsewhere in the body. So always work with a physician who understands supplements, really knows your history, can incorporate them based off of maybe your genes, your DNA, your family history, or diseases that you're dealing with.
Now, how did you determine which ones went in the muscle graveyard or in the supplement graveyard? Do you do muscle testing or something?
No. So I'm looking at the quality of supplementation. So I'm looking at if there is fillers in there. I'm looking at dosages. So magnesium has become a really popular supplement for people to take. But when you look at how many milligrams of magnesium are in a lot of these products, it's not doing anything. So all you're doing is spending money. And where we can actually test for that and see that, oh, your body needs, say, 500 milligrams or 600 milligrams of magnesium on a daily basis, but maybe you need one that is a muscle relaxant, or you need one that can help you sleep, or you need one that's better for digestion, or you need one that's better for your brain. So looking at all those things and not just going, oh, I'm taking magnesium, here I go,
And there's so many types of magnesium.
Yes.
So that's another thing people probably aren't aware of.
Yes, 100%. So like I said, working with somebody who knows that, asking your doctor about it, bringing your supplements to your appointments, making sure that there's no cross reaction if you are on medications as well, making sure you also have the timing right of when to take supplements. I mean, I have some patients who only remember to take their multivitamins in or their B complex in the evening, and then they're wondering, oh, all of a sudden I'm not sleeping as well because you just popped some B vitamins and that's going to keep you awake. So
I didn't know that.
So there's a lot to it when it comes to supplementation, and so that would be another regular thing that I focus on. I'm very focused on my sleep because that's really the time that my cells are repairing, like all our cells are repairing, is through sleep. So really making sure I'm getting a good night's sleep, most importantly to protect not only the body but the brain. Let's see, what else am I making sure I do? I mean, moving my body. My movement has changed throughout my lifetime, you know, from being, you know, a track runner, a tennis player, to doing more yoga. I am a yoga teacher too, to incorporating that plus walking. I love walking. So seeing what the body needs and looking at that. What we did in our 20s is not going to work in our 40s or 50s. And we still try and do it. And then we wonder why we're not losing the weight or we're not doing this or that. The body changes. We have to change along with the body.
Yep, that's really well said. So is most of this stuff written in your book?
A significant amount of it is written in my book. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, cool. And how can they find the Anatomy of Wellbeing?
So the Anatomy of Wellbeing, it is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, online. You can order the print copy. I know some people who ordered the Kindle and then went back and bought the print copy, because this is one of those books that it's close to 500 pages. It's almost 90,000 words. It's one of those that you really want to use as a reference guide as you work through changing your bad habits into intentional lifestyle rituals. And maybe right now you're focused on cleaning your body out of toxins because you've just been using all these makeup products, hair products, all this stuff for years. And you're like, how do I do that? Or maybe you are focused on your sleep. So you can kind of delve into those practices and make those part of your lifestyle, and then go on to another chapter and go, all right, well, here's the thing, you build momentum when you start making change.
Yes. And I love how you said to just do one at a time and see how your body responds to it, because you might need to tweak it, you know, like what you said about the sauna.
Yes. Yeah. So most people try something once and go, oh, it didn't work. Well, no, that doesn't mean it didn't work. Maybe you didn't do it either at the right time or in the right amount. Same thing with people who tell me, oh yeah, I ate greens. And I'm like, oh, what greens did you eat? And then they'll be like, well, I had a salad last week. Well, that's great. But a salad a week is not going to give you the phytonutrients your body needs to fight off the free radicals you are exposed to. So creating that balance, really looking at that holistic picture, the whole body. And I think the book is a great framework for you to kind of start in that process. I know I have a couple couples who are reading the book and they're highlighting, and you know, one's highlighting in yellow and one's highlighting in orange. The book right now is rainbow because they're highlighting over each other.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's awesome though.
Yes.
And another question, since you're a regular MD, do you take health insurance?
I do not take health insurance. The amount of time that I spend with my patients does not allow me to, I see a limited number of patients for an extended amount of time because we're dealing with, you know, so like the whole body. We're not dealing with, oh, just your heart or just your lungs or just your gut. We've got a whole body picture and kind of rebuilding that.
Right. I mean, because I had a client that was a doctor and she was like, she would have to see like 4 or 5 patients every hour or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah. My appointments are much longer than that. They're usually anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes per appointment. So I know you very well, and you understand your body a lot better, because my goal is, like I said, for you to understand how your body works, so you know how to age gracefully, age easily, live as disease-free as possible, prevent disease, and try not to worry about it, because if you understand it, now I have patients that I've worked with for a couple of years, they already know what affects them between how they travel, what they eat, what they need to do, that it's like it's bread and butter now, because they learned it, but they weren't able to identify it before because there was no testing that they were getting at their conventional doctor's office. There was no interpretation or supplements or specific foods. You'd be surprised, people who have inflammatory conditions like eczema, thinking about some of the healthiest foods out there. Avocados are super high in histamine. And if you have somebody who has eczema is eating tons of avocados and continuing to have eczema attacks, well, we have to look at a little bit deeper there.
Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't realize, because I love avocado.
Well, no, avocados are great for you, and I recommend an avocado a day as opposed to a doctor. As opposed to an apple, I'm like an avocado a day. But for some individuals, that might not be the best choice if they're dealing with an active health condition.
Yeah, that makes.
So that's where putting in something else might be more beneficial.
Interesting. Well, I love all this, and I love that you're an anomaly because you're outside the box, and I think that's really important, and as where we're going as a population when it comes to health. So yeah. I appreciate that. So how can people find you, Dr. Monisha?
The best place to find me is on my website, drbhanote.com. I'm also on social media as Dr. Bhanote, either Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, pretty much the same on every platform. So pretty straightforward to find.
Awesome. And I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the show today, because you have like a wealth of information. I just want to get all my numbers run to see, where I am, because I haven't been to a doctor. I think the last time I went to a doctor was 2019.
Yeah.
Because I just don't have any need. I'm healthy. So.
Well, that's what a lot of people, I have that population of people who are like, oh, I eat the best diet, I'm healthy, I have no symptoms. And then they're like, but I want to make sure I'm on the right path to aging. And we do the testing and they're like, oh, I can optimize that. And then they see how much better they can already feel.
Exactly. That's what I am looking at doing for myself. So that's fabulous. Wonderful. So in parting, if you were to give the listeners just like one favorite thing that you say, start this today, what would it be?
Oh, start this today. That's one thing that's really tough. I think really taking a look at your 24 hours in a day and going, what can I do 1% better tomorrow? Just pick what you're already doing and going, all right, if I am having a salad for lunch, what can I put on it that can make it even better? Or if I am going to the gym and all I've been doing is cardio, how can I incorporate some stretching so my fascia will love me back? So look at what you're already doing in your 24 hours and go, let me do a little bit better.
I love that. It's so simple.
We make health complicated. Health is not that complicated.
Right. I love that. And I love how you love your sleep, because I'm a big sleeper too. That's one of my favorite things with people, is just make sure you get to bed at a decent hour and, have really good, nourishing sleep. So many people, and I used to be this way, I would be like hooked on a Netflix show or have like laundry and chores and stuff. But now it's like hard stop, man. I am in bed by 9.
You're good. You're good, because lately there's been some really good Netflix shows on. So
Really? Like what?
There's some really good foreign dramas on. I'm really getting into the European dramas that are out there right now. So they're really entertaining.
Oh, how funny.
Yes, making sure I don't use an alarm clock. I rise with the sun. I go to bed when I'm like tired. But really kind of being intentional with that, making sure you're getting out first thing in the morning. I'm walking the dog, I'm outside, realigning my circadian rhythm, moving my body. So the basics, we've forgotten how to do the basics.
Yeah, that's true. Well, hopefully we're going to head back there, because I feel like more and more people are realizing that the regular putting a Band-Aid on a symptom isn't working. So this is a comprehensive approach. So thank you so much for spending time with me today and for sharing your wisdom with our listeners.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been my pleasure.
Have a beautiful day. Okay, that was fabulous. I hope you enjoyed the show. For complete show notes, please head on over to highenergygirl.com/show. And please go out and make it a great day. This podcast contains the opinion and thoughts of its host and guests. It is intended to provide helpful and informative material on the subjects covered. All statements made on the podcast have not been evaluated by the FDA and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. If the listener requires professional assistance or advice, please contact your personal medical doctor. Both host and guest specifically disclaim any responsibility for any liability, loss, or risk, personal or otherwise, which is incurred as a consequence directly or indirectly of the use and application of any of the contents of these episodes. Like I said, this is my opinion and I could be wrong.